When I asked what happiness was, what it looked like for them, people suddenly were not so sure. They'd hem and haw and finally say, losing X number of pounds, or having enough money to pay my bills, or my kids. I just want my kids to be happy. So they had goals or wishes, but they couldn't articulate what happiness looked like. Seldom did anyone have a real answer. This book has the answer, because Arthur Brooks has studied and researched and lived the answer. I first came across Arthur through his column in The Atlantic, How to Build a Life. I started reading it during the pandemic, and it quickly became something I look forward to every week because it was all about what I've always cared about most, living a life with purpose and meaning. Then I read his book, From Strength to Strength, a remarkable guide to becoming happier as you age. This man was singing my song. Clearly, I had to talk to him, and when I did, I instantly realized that if I'd still been doing the Oprah Winfrey show, I would have been calling on him all the time. He would have had something relevant and revealing to contribute to almost every topic we discussed. Arthur exudes a kind of confidence and certainty about the meaning of happiness that's both comforting and galvanizing. He's able to talk both broadly and very specifically about the very same things I've been talking about for years: how to grow into your best self, how to become a better human being. So I knew from the start that I would somehow end up working with Arthur. That somehow is this book.
And now, a note from me, Arthur. You must naturally be a very happy person. I hear this all the time. It makes sense, after all. I teach courses on happiness at Harvard University. I write a regular happiness column for The Atlantic. I speak about the science of happiness all around the world. So people assume I must have natural gifts for happiness, like a professional basketball player must be a naturally gifted athlete. Lucky me, right? Well, happiness isn't like basketball. You don't have a leg up on becoming a happiness specialist by being blessed with natural well-being. On the contrary, naturally happy people almost never study happiness because to them, it doesn't seem like something one needs to study or even think much about. It would be like studying air. The truth is that I write, speak, and teach about happiness precisely because it's naturally hard for me and I want more of it. My baseline well-being level, the level where I would sit if I didn't study it and work on it every day, is significantly lower than average. It's not as if I have had a huge trauma or unusual suffering. No one should feel sorry for me. It just runs in the family. My grandfather was gloomy. My father was anxious. Left to my devices, I'm gloomy and anxious. Just ask my wife of 32 years, Esther. She's nodding yes as she listens to this. So my work as a social scientist isn't research, it's me-search. If you're coming to this book because you are not as happy as you want to be, whether because you are suffering from something in particular or you have had a good life on paper but always find yourself struggling, you're the kind of person I relate to best. We are kindred spirits. When I started studying happiness 25 years ago as a PhD student, I didn't know if academic knowledge would help. I feared that happiness wasn't something you could change in a meaningful way. Maybe it was like astronomy, I thought. You can learn about the stars, but you can't change them. And in fact, for a long time, my knowledge didn't help me very much. I knew a lot, but it wasn't practical in any way. It was just observations about who the happiest people were and the unhappiest. A decade ago, during a particularly dark and stormy time in my life, Esther asked a question that changed my thinking. Why don't you use all that complicated research to see if there are ways that you can change your own habits? Obvious, right? For some reason, it wasn't obvious to me at all, but I was willing to try. I started spending more time observing my well-being levels to pick out patterns. I studied the nature of my suffering and the benefits I likely derived from it.